Hello everyone and welcome back to the As You Are podcast. I'm so excited because I have a very special guest today and we are in the beautiful Sun City, which is why our setting looks a little bit different today. So I have my mom here today, Claire Rieker, and we're going to be discussing her career as a teacher and all the challenges and exciting things that come along with that. So, Can you start by telling us how long you've been in teaching?
So at this point, I've been in teaching for about 24, 25 years.
Sure,
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yes, it is. Specifically because I didn't actually study teaching.
Yeah, so that's actually, I'd love to know how you actually got into teaching. It wasn't what you originally...
No. I always thought I wanted to do public relations because my aunts were in public relations and I quite fancied the idea of organizing events, and I still enjoy that type of thing. And then I studied communications and then did my honors in communications in public relations, and then actually went and worked in public relations and actually realized it actually wasn't what my aunts were doing. Real public relations is more about press releases and writing things, and that's really not what I anticipated. So I found something else, which was more like just being a PA to a general manager, which I actually quite enjoyed because I think I like to run people's lives. So it was actually that one and got me a lot of experience in business around obviously because I worked with him. I sort of understood the workings of a business behind the scenes. However, then I went off to have you and decided I didn't want to work. I wanted to put all my attention into my child. So I went off and I stopped working at that company. And then 2 years later, I realized I needed some interaction. So by chance, my best friend at the time, her mom was teaching at my ex-school. And she needed somebody to help her in EMS. And she said, because I was looking for a job, and I was looking for something that was a bit mornings only. I didn't want a 9-to-5 job. So I went and helped her out at Glenvista High and fell in love with teaching the first day I was there.
I always remember you saying from the first minute you were in a classroom, you realized that this was what you wanted to do for the rest of your life. So what was it about that experience?
I think when you worked in commerce, it's a totally different experience because people expect something different from you, and there is no food for the soul. There is nothing. It's all about profit. It's strategically driven. It's not about helping people, actually. I think maybe some companies say that they are, but I don't think that that's the end goal. However, I realized when I walked into a classroom that these children, as inexperienced and as not really knowing what I was doing, I got so much out of these children and just it was food for soul. It was really
fed off their energy.
100%, and that's what teaching's all about for me, is feeding off their energy.
Yes. But it wasn't that you completely hated the corporate world?
No. So I didn't hate it. But I felt like in the classroom I could bring the two together. So I studied then my teaching and I studied business studies. And then obviously I could bring the two together, corporate and teaching.
So you started as an accounting teacher?
Yeah, that was the post. Okay. That was the post. It was EMS.
EMS, okay.
With accounting.
Okay.
But when I studied my degree for teaching, or my diploma, I did do accounting first year. But I realized my passion was really business. And I think if you're working in teaching and you are an EMS teacher, you either are an accounting teacher, who's somebody who likes numbers, or you are a business teacher. Somebody likes to have the discussions and talk about real life things. So it just depends on your personality. And I think business was more for me because I enjoy the discussions. I enjoy the interaction with the kids. I enjoy the opinions and the discussion of different views. And that's what business is about. Yeah.
And for many years now, you've been a a matric teacher.
Yes.
So would you say you prefer working with the 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds?
Oh, yeah, much prefer. Unfortunately, shame. When I originally started, obviously I was with the juniors, 8s and 9s. And when I was at Glen Vista, I was just a grade 9 teacher. And I think anybody in teaching knows that grade 9's it's a challenging year. And I probably think that's why I got them, is because I was new. So, and I was quite happy with grade 8 and 9, and I was actually a grade head for grade 8 for many years, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the mothering side of grade 8. But unfortunately, when you teach, and for my personality, when you teach the seniors, I really, really enjoyed more mature conversations, being able to form a rapport with them, to understand where they're coming from, to listen to their views and their opinions. I really enjoy listening, and I really enjoy being around 17, 18 years old, because they're really on the cuff of something they're going to move on into life, and they have these views and opinions, and I love that interaction and understanding where they are and how they feel. Some excited, some not so excited, you know.
So you did mention that grade 8 is a challenge, grade 9 is a challenging year. What is it about that year specifically that teachers find challenging?
I think a grade 9 child is their hormones have specifically come in, so I think it's a physiological thing. And in terms of school in grade 8, they still are babies of the school, so they're not testing the boundaries. Grade 9s, their hormones are full in action, and that's most probably what brings a few discipline problems. Girls and boys trying to impress each other, and the way they impress each other is by misbehaving in class so that they can get attention. So I think that's the thing. And you'll also find that when in grade 10, everyone says, and it does happen, and it's just the nature of how it happens. When they choose their subjects, they tend to settle down a lot. But I think it is a physiological thing. I think it's, like I said, it's a second year of high school. They feel more settled. And that's where some of the discipline issues come in.
That's so interesting. So you are not just a teacher at the moment. You are the head of ethos of the school. In terms of teaching, obviously you found your passion in instilling the ethos of the school, but is there any specific area that you really are passionate about?
I am passionate about leadership.
Leadership?
Yeah, I really am passionate about leadership. Because I think we tend to think that leaders around us are always the loud ones, the ones with a lot of charm and charisma, the ones that are able to stand in front of people and talk. So I think that's what, and I know it's all changing, but leadership for me is also about being a servant leader, especially at our school.
What is that?
Servant leadership means you lead from behind. You're not always the one in the front. Servant leadership is about doing good for everyone around you as a leadership, which is a really different way of doing leadership, of actually seeing leadership. And I think in corporate we don't see that type of leadership. So for me, it's interesting watching young students develop from grade 8, instilling this idea of servant leadership, giving back, and that's part of leadership, is giving back, helping those around you. That is leadership, and not the standing on a pulpit just telling everyone what to do. It's more about a supportive, encouraging role. And it's, so I have a passion for leadership and trying to develop leadership within young students, which is not always easy because, it's everyone has different personalities. So and it's to try and find out which type of leadership suits which personality. I'm also passionate about Catholic education. Okay, obviously being at a Catholic school for 21 years, I am passionate about Catholic education, and the idea that everyone belongs. Everyone belongs. Doesn't actually matter what religion you are, where you come from. It's my whole thing is this idea of, even though we are a Catholic school, it's building this culture of family, and it doesn't matter where you're from. It's it's loving your neighbor as you love yourself, and it's trying to instill this in the school and the students that we teach as well.
And it's again going back to working in an environment that's good for the soul,
100%.
not just, like you say, profit-driven, which is obviously where a lot of people thrive and what they enjoy, but it just wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So a big thing from my experience as a teacher, and I think a lot of teachers, and a big contributor to burnout for me, was discipline. And I know a big thing for you has always been to be authentic, and when you're not authentic, that often leads to you not enjoying your job,
100%.
being exhausted, etc., etc. So after 24 years of teaching, how have you managed discipline? It's such a big part of teaching, especially people like you say who are almost adults, who are about to embark on their journey as adults. How do you?
So it's interesting that you brought up that question, because like I said, when I started when I was 24 years ago and I started and I was teaching grade 9s, I had not a cooking clue.
Yes.
I had absolutely not a cooking clue.
Yeah.
So I spent a few years, about 5 or 6 years, even when I arrived at Maritz, also still had no clue. And I think that was my whole thing. And that's why I say it's important to be authentic. Is I looked at the teachers around me, and I looked at how they taught. So I looked at the ones that were strict and never had any discipline problems. So I tried to be strict. That didn't work.
I think
you know what I'm saying?
First go to as young teachers.
As you look around you.
I think a big thing, like you say, was when we are new, then we're looking for to others for advice, and we're looking, and a big thing that I saw, and it's also not something that universities
they don't
necessarily.
No, listen. No, they don't. They do teach you discipline and classroom management.
Yeah. But and I think that's where obviously the practical part of the teaching degree is so important, actually being in a class, but it's actually only when you're there fully responsible for children that you truly understand how to discipline. But the thing that, from my experience, is you start off being hard, being very strict, and that was so inauthentic to who I was.
Me too.
And I think you had the same experience.
100%.
Yes. So how did you then learn your own way, a more authentic way to disciplining?
Well, first of all, you have to be in tune with yourself.
Yes.
I think you've got to be realistic about who you are.
Yes.
What makes you happy.
Yes.
And be aware of yourself.
That's very true.
So before you can move anywhere, and I think when you're younger and when you're inexperienced, that is not something that you think is important.
No.
So
it's not even something that's ever brought up or considered.
So you also got to be fine with yourself. Once you're fine with yourself and you understand what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, you then will be able to decide what method of discipline works for you. In the last, I also found a very good correlation is I found, and I think this is not going to happen for everyone, so it's my personal experience. I felt that as I went through life and became more confident with myself, and I went through a lot of journeys in my own personal life, as I became happier with myself, so did my discipline become easy. I have no discipline issues at the moment. No discipline issues. I have nothing. And it's because I know where I am in life. I know who I am. I've gone through a few things, and that would have impacted my teaching. And then when I found myself in a better place, it meant that I have no discipline issues at all. It's not something that I deal with on a daily basis. And I remember being a younger teacher, and I remember being the whole part of your lesson was disciplining.
100%.
You know?
100%.
Yeah, and I think it's also important as you get older. I think you also when children behave, when you're younger, you take it personally. And I think also when you move beyond that, and if they are having a bad day or whatever, you don't take it personally. As soon as you don't take it personally, that interaction is not a negative interaction. It's more like, I see you're not happy today. I'm not going to take personal what you're saying to me, but I understand there's something bigger in your life. And I think we also we take things too personally.
That's so true.
And we shouldn't. I think those are all the challenges that we face. But like I said, I think for me the biggest thing is when you are happy with yourself, your discipline will come authentically.
Yeah. No, that's very true. So what would your advice be to someone just beginning their teaching career?
I would say is try different methods, and I think that's what I did. Try different methods. Try this day being a firm person because maybe that's who you are. Try and be the softer person because that's who you are. Some try to be the fun teacher, try and be the humorous teacher. I think the whole thing is to, if you don't know who you are, the thing is to try the different methods and see which one works for you.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And over the years, have you seen, sort of with the general outlook on teenagers throughout the 24 years that you've been a teacher, have you seen changes in terms of their discipline and mental health and just how teenagers behave over those years, or are teenagers just...
Teenagers are the same.
Always
and
the
I think
same,
we do hear lots of teachers saying the child has changed because the environment that they're in has changed. There's more IT, they're more on their phones. So the environment that the teenager in has changed, which means that our teaching method has to change. But can I be honest with you, and maybe people are also going to not be happy with me. Children have not changed.
That's so interesting.
Children have not changed. Children are the same. They will manipulate you. They will guilt trip you. They will try and find your attention in different ways. You know, I know they're more on their phone now, but that's because of the environment they're in. It's not... If phones were available 40 years ago when I was at school, it would have been the same. I don't think children have changed. I just think our perception is that they have changed because the environment that they are in now has changed, which we do have to adapt to, obviously. I'm not saying we don't adapt to it, but I just feel like teenagers are the same.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And in terms of the challenges that teenagers face,
I think that has shifted because of obviously of social media. Their challenges. So when I had an issue at school with my friends, it happened at school. You went home, it was done. You didn't have to worry about it. You had dinner with your folks. It was done until you went back to school. Unfortunately, those issues now continue on social media. So I think that is again, the teenager hasn't changed, but the environment that the teenager is functioning in has changed.
In your day, if you wanted to call someone, you had to, the parents answering the phone.
Correct, monitoring who you was, and you couldn't sit on hours on the phone because people would see that you were on the phone. So it's just the environment that they're in that's changed.
And do you have any advice for parents on how to support their children in this environment? So
we've spoken a lot about it at school, and I think the main thing is the parent has to be there for their child, okay? And they have to install things like if you see your child is using too much media, you have to say to them, 9 o'clock your phone has to go into the kitchen. I think we don't do it. I know I didn't used to do it with you, and I'm sure you were on your phone for hours. But now that I look at it, I think we as parents have to put more boundaries into place. And it's like all the phones go into the kitchen at 9 o'clock and then read a book or you know what I'm saying, or do a crossword or whatever it is that relaxes you before you sleep. Because I think, and I'm guilty of it myself, I think we're using these type of things to soothe ourselves.
And I know from a special needs perspective, with my children who had ADHD and were struggling to sleep and struggling with insomnia, that was the first thing the doctor used to tell my children is switch off all digital devices before you go to bed. but yeah, it's much easier said than done.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But that's it. And you need to be aware of what your children, like I say, it's impossible to be aware all the time. I think you just got to be tuned into your child, and I think that's very difficult. That's very, very difficult.
Yes. But so part of, you spoke about being grade head to the grade 8s, and maybe you can also give us a bit more of an idea of what exactly your role as the head of ethos is.
Okay, so I was grade head to grade 8s for many years.
Yes.
Then I had a stint where I was grade 11 head for a bit.
Okay.
And then I was also, for many years, grade 12 head.
Okay.
So those roles are pastoral roles.
Yes.
It is dealing with, once the teachers can't deal with an issue like discipline or academic issues or whatever, it's then passed into the grade head's role, and then they are there to contact the parent, to set up meetings, to put some actions into place to improve behavior or whatever it might be. So that is, and it also, it's a pastoral role. Is if the child is emotionally battling, then they would most try and go to their grade head if they feel comfortable.
Yes.
So that was the role there, and then I was lucky enough to be promoted into a role of head of ethos, which is just I'm so grateful for it, because it's almost like it was a role that was made for me.
100%.
So the role is obviously being in charge of the leadership team. So it's developing the leadership team, making sure that they can try and develop their skills as the leaders. The next one is obviously, and I always say leadership first, but it's not actually my first role. My first role is to ensure that the Catholic ethos and our Marist values are maintained. Obviously being in part of a Marist school, which is a worldwide institution. We have specific values and characteristics that we live by, and it's obviously instilling those into our students as well, which I believe fully in. I think they characteristics that all of us can live with,
100%.
and it's something that I try and live my every day. And I think they're values that our founder, Master Champagne, came up with in 1817. It's very interesting. That's when our school started in France in 1817. These characteristics that were implemented in 1817 are characteristics that we can put in place today. Doesn't matter how much our society has changed, these characteristics still add value to our children. So that it's implementing that, and that's most probably the most important part of my job. Then the third phase is outreach, which is I love, obviously, for many reasons. So I was in charge of outreach. And then the last one is alumni. That is bringing our past students back into our Marist family and ensuring that they always, once a Marist, always a Marist. So there are many facets and frameworks, plus I still teach business as well. So there are many facets and frames to this job.
But as you're speaking about, the Marist ethos, the Catholic ethos, I was thinking a lot about how that frame of reference has actually impacted your own life personally, from going on the pilgrimage.
100%.
And, being so closely associated with the church and things like that. So could you maybe speak a bit more about that?
Yeah, so as part of the Marist schools, every 2 years they send 2 of their staff members to a pilgrimage to Rome and France. So the whole idea is to go to the head of the Catholic Church, which is in Rome.
The Vatican.
100%. And we get like special, we were able to go see, because our founder is a saint, we were able to go sort of just into the Vatican City and actually see the statue of Saint Martin Champagne.
Wow.
So there are very many, and obviously look at all the different churches and go to the 16th Chapel. And then obviously from Rome, we go to France, to the Hermitage, where the first main Marist school was started, and then all the areas around that, where Champagne was born and where he had his first congregation and all of that. So it brings it to life. So I was at a very dark place in my life at that time when I went on the pilgrimage, and it was quite an eye-opener for me, and I don't know if it was God working in my life,
100%,
most probably.
yeah.
I felt like every Mass I cried, and I didn't understand. I'd never cried at Mass. I'd never cried at Mass. We had a Mass in the catacombs underneath the city. Yeah, and I couldn't stop crying. Every Mass we had, I cried. And it obviously was just, there were certain changes that I needed to make in my life.
100%.
And it was through that pilgrimage that I realized when I came back that I had to make changes. And I still feel like it was God speaking to me,
100%.
because I was open. I was in a place where I was open to listening. And I think that's what happened. My life was so chaotic and toxic before that. I couldn't hear the messages. So
that's amazing.
So it was a life-changing experience.
And to just have had that experience and to know how impactful the Catholic
100%
Church can be. And
and I think once you're in Rome, it's hard not to be impressed.
Oh yes,
it's hard not to be impressed
and to feel a part of this
something much bigger
association, or I don't know, that's just so big and been going on for so many years. It's just so amazing.
It was just such it's opened my eyes up. So obviously I went down a different path, and like I said, I felt like it was God was speaking to me, and I said, no, I have to make a change in my life, which I did do.
Yes. You were saying that before you went to Rome, you're in quite a dark space and things like that. Can you expand a bit on that and say what was going on?
I think when I left for Rome on pilgrimage, I think that the thing is you become so used to your life. And I didn't really know that I was in a dark space. And I knew things were not good at home. But I think when I left, I didn't actually realize how bad it was. And that experience of being in Rome with strangers, and having a lot of time on my own, allowed me to think a lot about my relationship, how toxic my home life was, and what an impact it had on my mental health. I think I started to have mental health issues, and I kept blaming myself for these issues, and thinking it was me. I need to do things better. I need to do this. I need to do that in order to solve these problems that I was having. Not really realizing it was because of the environment that I was in.
So that's interesting. So you developed mental health struggles in your adulthood.
Correct.
Before that, in your teenage years,
100%.
you were fine. You never experienced any struggles.
No struggles. I experienced a normal teenage struggles.
Yes.
My parents did get divorced, but that didn't impact me hugely. It really didn't impact me hugely. I had a good relationship with my mother. I used to visit my dad on the weekends. I don't feel like it impacted me. I still felt confident. I still had those niggly things like a teenager would have. You had some sort of insecurities, but it was never. I was very confident. I was a very confident. I was head girl at school. So I had a lot of confidence.
So can you go a bit more into what was the mental health struggles that you had?
I started to develop panic attacks, specifically with driving. Because I'd had a panic attack on my way. I was marking in Santon one year, and because of the situation at home, I was under huge amounts of pressure, and it's things that I had no control over. So I think this resulted in me I'd most probably had a few panic attacks in my life, but not really knowing what they were. But I had a huge panic attack on my way to marking, where I had to phone for people to come and help me. And after that panic attack, I developed this anxiety about driving on the highway on my own. So it was like I would drive on the highway once, and then I would be fine, and then the next time I would have another panic attack. So eventually what I did is I just stopped driving on the highway. So this anxiety I was thinking it was me. There was something wrong with me. And I think once I got to the realization that it was the situation that I was in, the environment that I was in, that was causing these panic attacks, I realized that it doesn't matter what I did to get rid of these panic attacks. I really needed to get out of the environment I was in.
And that took the pilgrimage to bring that to light.
Correct.
And what is your experience of a panic attack for someone who's never experienced it before? What is it like?
It sounds so stupid. It's actually, your mind takes over. You have no control of your mind. And you actually, for me, I think everybody experiences a panic attack very differently. For me, it feels like I'm on the highway. My heart is racing. I feel like I'm going to pass out. And it's the fear of what's going to happen when I pass out. Am I going to have an accident? Am I going to drive off the highway? Are people going to drive into the back of me? And those are the thoughts that go through your mind to the point that you actually have to stop and you can't breathe anymore. So that, and then also you realize once you've had a full-blown panic attack, it actually takes a lot out of you physically.
Yes, it's a very physical experience.
It's very physical.
Yes.
So after that, you would want to lie down or lie down and recuperate. It takes a lot out of you, which I think a lot of people don't understand. And the problem is, and I think that the biggest problem is, it's hard to explain to somebody who hasn't had a panic attack what it is
very
like.
much
And
so.
everyone's panic attack is different, and it's triggered by different events.
Definitely.
So it is a hard one. It is a very hard one.
So besides the driving and the panic attacks day to day, how was your functioning?
I actually couldn't drive to work without having been anxious.
Yes.
It was just culminating into a huge problem. For about 6 years, I just avoided driving on the highway on my own. So the irony of my anxiety was, if I had somebody with me, I could go anywhere.
Yes.
I could drive anywhere. I could drive to Pretoria. I could drive to Durban.
Yeah.
That wasn't the issue.
But it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, there was a stage where it was
where-
so bad that I actually couldn't. You're 100% right.
Yes.
My little protector is I could, as long as I drove with somebody, I was able to get through that. You're 100%.
Yes.
But you're right.
Yes.
When it was really bad, you're right. Even if I had somebody with me, it was a problem. But so it didn't really impact my life hugely. Because I just used to either have somebody who went far places with me, or I'd find to drive with somebody, or I would manage my life around it. It wasn't ideal, and it wasn't convenient. It was quite restrictive. But I did manage my life around it.
But now, fortunately, you're at a stage where you can drive independently.
Yeah. I hesitate that.
Yes.
So after much what is the word? Coercion by you, and a lot of prodding and pushing. I think this year was the first year I actually went to proper counselling for the anxiety. So from that counselling, I have improved hugely, where I can drive on my own to the north.
Yeah, but it was a long process. It shows how long healing takes.
100%, and not
how
to
you
rush
can't
it.
put pressure on yourself, but also we can't ignore the medication and the influence that had.
Yeah, and I must admit, I forgot that the medication it took the edge off of my day-to-day anxiousness.
The generalized anxiety.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
But it still didn't stop the panic attacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so, and I think you've got to say to yourself, and you're right, it is a long process. Number one, you've got to get help. I think you
100%.
sometimes think you can solve it yourself.
100%.
And number two, I think you remember it's taken so long to develop. It's not going to go away overnight.
100%.
So I think you have to give yourself some type of, but you've got to do something about it. I think you can't give yourself leeway and not do anything about it. I think that's what I've realized this year.
And as you mentioned, it took me a lot of nagging you and trying to convince you to go for therapy, because like you say, the medication got you to a point, but I, from my background, understood that there was more that therapy could help you with.
Correct.
So what was it that made you so apprehensive, or not willing at a certain time to go for therapy?
I think I had in my mind that I was so anxious about the driving. I had in my mind that if I went to therapy, I would have to do it. And I think that was the thing that was holding me back, is the fact that I would, I was managing.
You were.
By working my life around it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I was managing. So it was the thought that if I go to therapy, I'm going to have to at some point get on the highway on my own. And I think there was just so much fear around that.
Yes.
And that was most probably the thing that was holding me back.
But when you went, was it a pleasant experience?
It was. And the main thing is it reframes your mind, and it puts you in it gives you a different perspective, and it gives you different tools.
Definitely.
Which was also very important. Definitely. Is what tools can you use?
Yes.
I don't want to sit here and think that I am
totally healed.
Yes, I think we'd be living. But I know that I have improved.
Yes, but it's a journey.
It is a journey.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And so going back to your career that you were speaking about and helping children with partial care, how has your experience with mental health helped you with dealing with those situations?
No, it's helped me a lot. Anybody that hasn't been through it, and I think of my colleagues, and if you haven't been through it, and a child is suffering from anxiety or panic attacks, they cannot relate, and they think that the child is just using it as an attention tool.
That's very true.
And that's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah.
They say, oh, so-and-so's having a panic attack. Oh, they must probably got this subject that I want to go to the subject.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's why it's put me in a better position, is because I have suffered from it. So I understand how debilitating it is, and it's not something that you put on. So, it has helped me to deal with it. And at the stage until now, I can say that I have put some things in place to make me better. But I think it's not even the fact that I could help somebody, because I've only now this year been able to help myself.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's just about empathizing with somebody and understanding what they're going through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and like you say, if you haven't been through it,
you don't know.
It's so difficult to empathize.
You've got no idea. You've got no idea.
And I know there's been a few instances where you've actually been able to sort of point out cases of bad mental health.
Correct.
And, children that haven't necessarily come up to you and spoken to you about it, but just from their body language or maybe what they were saying, you
100%
sort of can identify.
Yeah, no, and I think that also goes to just knowing the children, because that's the thing is a child can change totally, and if you don't know the children, you don't see the signs. There was once a child had an overdose, so he had taken something in the morning, and he was standing in line up, and I don't know what came over me. I just felt like there was something wrong, and I said, "Are you okay?" And then the child. Then I took him to the office, and then he said he had taken some tablets. That, you just got to see, you got to know the children, your intuition, your gut feeling. And I think that's very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to bring up the fact that it's not necessarily always the students or learners that you would expect.
No.
Sometimes can be the happy learners, the happy-go-lucky.
Correct.
So
the ones that are hiding a lot.
That can be hiding a lot. So to just go with that gut feeling.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. It also, it all depends on the child. The change in behavior is a big thing.
Changing a behavior
is a big thing. So somebody who was happy-go-lucky and all of a sudden is not, or somebody who was quiet is all of a sudden loud. It's changing behaviors. When children change their behavior, they're trying to mask something.
Interesting.
And then that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
interesting.
Thank you. It's
Pleasure.
been such a lovely conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm sure
Hey?
we'll have you again.
Yeah, of course.
So we always end off with the question, what do you wish more people knew or understood about mental health? So what would your answer to that be?
You know, mental health is very complicated.
It is.
Very complicated. And I think what I would really say is I think there is such a stigma against it. So even with children or even adults, is if you have diabetes or if you have a heart condition, I think we talk so openly about it. I've got diabetes, I've got a health condition, and off you go to the doctor. And you know, mental health is the same thing. It's an illness.
100%.
And we don't see it as that.
100%.
So I would wish people would treat it more like an illness, like a flu or any earache or anything. I think we're so stigmatized to the fact that if we have a mental problem, it's not in that same category.
No, 100%.
And it is. It's 100%. An illness just as much as everything else is an illness. So,
it's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's an illness. And it should be treated like that, and it should be not be stigmatized as something that it's not a horrible thing. It's like if somebody had the flu.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course.